I want to start it off by saying thank you again for giving me your time to do the interview. Today, we'll be talking about a little bit health and wellness, uh, one or two moments in your life in which you had a whole mind shift change and what
Okay.
led that to happen, and then one gem you would like to leave for the next generation.
Okay.
Cool.
That
So,
works.
with health and wellness, let me know where are you now? I know you mentioned it a little bit before.
I mean, health and wellness. I think about my health and wellness every day, and I think about exercising every day. It doesn't happen every day, um, so I do think that's part of the mental challenge that we were kind of talking about not going outside. I realized, that when I was outside yesterday, like I said, I felt like I was just unleashed. I was like, oh wow, like right, like I really do think it's made a difference in terms of just like my overall energy levels at times. I'm taking vitamin D and vitamin C and vitamin A, like all the things that you would naturally get from the sun. So I'm taking those supplements because also with um, everything I've heard about Corona, people with low levels of those like vitamin D's, etc., if they get infected, have a much harder time fighting it. It's much worse. So, I was like, well, if I'm not going to be outside, let me at least try and take the supplements. But so so yeah, kind of a multi answer to the question. I mean, um, I do a decent amount of exercise in terms of for being at home, but I do need to pick it up. I need to get my lungs moving. Um, I do have a permanent lung disease, so that's
What is it that you
um,
have?
so I have small airways disease. Um, Essentially, I got poisoned in my apartment. There was like a really bad leak and mold, and I had a pneumonia, and that prevented me from healing, and it kind of permanently damaged my lungs. Um, so that's really weird because I never had any type of asthma or anything growing up. So, now like I wheeze and cough on a daily basis for like the last 2 years. And that's challenging, because I used to be able to run, sprint, do anything all times. Like a buddy of mine now is like super into MMA, beyond fit. And I remember like, in college, he'd be like, oh, let's just go work out. I was like, oh yeah, I got an off day. Let's go work out. Like we'd work or run. And he'd be like, God damn, like how fast are you? I was like, well, I work out every day. I mean, like track is one of my sports. Like I'm respectably fast. And now like I couldn't hang with him if I tried because like he's working out 2 times a day, super strong. Um, so I think from that perspective, I definitely would like to get back to being in much better shape. I know that while my lungs, in comparison to most people, are probably still strong, I still have a super low resting heart rate because, I was always in good shape and I used to take my heart rate every day. So my resting heart rate is still probably like 49,
That's
but
that's monk-like.
yeah,
Seriously.
but it was 39 in college.
Dude, you are a specimen.
So like I used to take it every day. And like when I, like anytime I go to the doctor, they'd be like, are you okay? And like, yeah, why? Like your heart rate is so low. I was like, yeah, no, I exercise like a lot, I'm assuming. I was like, yes. So yeah, it was 39 in college. So
Wow.
it's still 49, which is still good, but um, I'd love to be back down to like 42 or something like that. But so yeah, sorry for the long answer, but health
Dude,
and wellness,
I'm going to
think
straight.
about it every day. It's top of mind every day. Um, I know that essentially I've been a modest couch potato for the last 3 months, like been doing a lot of writing and being creative, but uh, yeah, I definitely haven't gotten my heart rate up and burned any calories. And even if you're not eating a lot, if you're not moving, you still ain't burning. So yeah,
You got it. And what
yeah.
that was is a benefit and pro is that fact that it's getting nice out. So even if you're not running for as long as you did, I think what will be beneficial to you. And since you're on the course, I'll tag you on a couple of videos that I think will be beneficial for you to watch. One for cardio, one for the stress scale, where if you do the minimum viable dose every day, where you're like, "Ah, cool, I feel good," that'll help you improve and the see in a small way how your lungs pretty much react to the amount of work that you did. Like if you're wheezing your cough, you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm good. Or, oh, wait, maybe let me tone it down a bit because that's going to be a
Mm,
factor with everything for sure.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably, I think next week my dad lives in Rockland County. He has a house, so I might go up there and stay for like a week or two,
Dope.
because he has a backyard. So at least I could bring a jump rope, do different things. Like I live in an apartment, right? So if you try and can't do burpee because then you're shaking the floor, right? But like you can still do modified stuff. And I did some burpees one day, and I was like, man. But um, I just think if and when I do go up there, that'll be helpful to be outside every day, for a couple hours a day. That'll be really good just for the mental. As you know, like health and wellness, mental is a really big part. It might be the biggest part.
I think is the biggest part in this whole game of life, honestly.
Yeah.
It just
So
it's insane how important it really is to be able to show up for yourself and then see what's going on and make the right moves.
yeah, so I do think that will help tremendously. Um, yeah, so I definitely look forward to getting out there for a little while at least.
Cool. And make sure you have the app downloaded by then.
Yeah, no, so it's in Alchemy now, right?
Yeah, I'll make it easy for you. I'll tag you in
Okay,
the
perfect.
that and then the two videos that I believe will benefit you a lot from the course.
Okay, cool. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Got you, bro. And next question. So yeah, look at your life, all your amazing ups and downs, and think about which one of these or however many stories you would like to share have been pivotal moments in your life that helped you transition from an old mindset to a new mindset to improve your quality of life.
So a couple. Naturally, in high school, I got diagnosed with cancer, so that was a really big, impactful moment. Um, as a teenager, you're 17, you absolutely think you're invincible, and then you realize like, oh shit, wait, I'm not. And then you have a few years of a journey where you just kind of lose those years, if you will, where all your friends go to college, you can't go anywhere. Like your capacity is very limited, can't work out, um, and then getting to a place where you start to get healthy again. And I had a mentor that was a rower and one of the most successful out there, like wins world championships every year to this day. And dude is almost 60 years old. Like he still wins a world championship, right? Like he's literally the most disciplined, fit person I've ever met. I mean, we caught up before like the whole pandemic was kind of starting, and he rode this past year. I think he won 2 national championships with a hip that was getting ready to be replaced, like it was deteriorated, and he still won. Right? Like he's had foot surgeries, all these type of things. Like he's had some serious ailments, and every year he still wins. And it's so amazing to me, and especially at his age, right? Like he's pushing 60, still wins. He was in corporate America, and when the bubble hit, 10, 12 years ago, he basically was like, he got I think a degree in exercise science or physiology, and just really broke down so many different things and got a lot of different certifications. And he was already like the best trainer in terms of like how to train, right? Listening to your body. That's why I used to check my heart rate, because of him, not because of the folks at college. And so he's like, look, if your heart rate's supposed to be this and it's above a certain amount, that's your body telling you to slow down and back off that particular day. He's like, overtraining is a real thing. So
Heart rate variability. The guy is a genie. He knows what's up. He's smart.
yeah. Like, so for example, now he is a trainer where his doctor at Hospital of Special Surgery, every time they have a patient that they can't help and heal, like their backs, they send to him. So
Wow.
literally, they've sent him well over a dozen patients that needed surgery, and they work with him, and in 3 months, they don't no longer need surgery.
Is this Stuart McGill, or he sounds just like him?
No, his name is Chuck Windeneck.
Got it.
And so, like, he took a couple of folks that literally couldn't walk, and then they competed professionally in rowing again, or collegiately in rowing, or were on a world stage. Like, they couldn't walk anymore. Their discs were deteriorated. And he's got this new piece of equipment that another rower created. If you give me a second, I'll scroll out of here and find it for you.
For sure.
It's called
This is amazing.
He's got this piece of equipment called the Kaler Core, Kaehler, and then core like your core. And he trains people on that. And he said it's essentially a pole. And I've never used it yet, right? So he's like, I gotta get you to use that because it really helps. He was like, that it's one of the best pieces of equipment I've ever encountered. And I know it looks silly, but you can do everything and you get such a good workout with this pole. I don't understand, right? So, but I just know I trust him so much that if he says it's good, it's good. So he was the one who got me back in shape after being sick, so that when I did have a chance to go away to college, I was ready to compete.
How did you two meet? I feel
So
like
we met. I was on scholarship to the New York Athletic Club for sports, and he was a member of the rowing team. And so when I joined the rowing team, I was like 14 years old. I weighed 100 pounds soaking wet. And while I was a good rower, I was so light. The only thing I could compete in was like singles. Like they have different types of boats: singles, doubles, quads, eights. So I was the youngest member of the team, and so everyone kind of took me under their wing. And I just always remembered him always being there, always working out. And so they had a team list with phone numbers on it, and he was the one I called. Like when I was like, I needed to try to get back in shape. I was like, look, I don't know if you remember me, but I've been sick, and I would love to get back in shape, and I just know you're always there. And so, excuse me, he took me under his wing, and so we've been friends ever since. And so that was a real pivotal moment in terms of being really, really sick, and then coming back to a place where now I'm on a D1 stage competing, and in rowing, I won 5 national championships. So like rowing, I was really, really good. And I would say the second time was, a couple years ago when I mentioned that I had a severe pneumonia and then, got kind of poisoned by the apartment. And I was at that point, I'd say clinically depressed. I was bedridden for 5 months for all intents and purposes. And I didn't realize how depressed I was, even with like mastermind, like folks would invite me out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. And I wouldn't go,
I hear you.
you know? And so then one day, friends were having a party and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And like, I went and had a ball, and like that, just getting out again helped my mind. And from that day forward, I was like, okay, let's go. Like, and everything kind of fell in place at that moment. I know it sounds silly, but just making that effort to be out and being back in the world. A couple of weeks later, I got a great project to work on. Like so, like everything kind of fell in place as a result of that. And I know, while it sounds silly, it's just like, oh, just making your mind and get back out. Sometimes that's really what it is. Like sometimes you just have to get back out. So those are the two, I would say, the two really impactful moments of trying to get back to like wellness.
And to piggyback off of what you said, it's I don't think it's silly. It's just something that action, some people may think it's small. It was huge at the moment because 5 months of dealing with that depression, being better, and you're like, all right, let me will myself to just be able to get up out of bed, get out of the room. There's a lot of steps to be able to even get to the event, to then be embraced and showered in that love, that blessing of love and good people. So that
Yeah.
alone was like, take all this, and then you were able to keep creating.
Yeah. So it was really, really helpful. And it's like definitely a little mark on the calendar that I remember, going. So, yeah.
I love it. And then last but not least, it doesn't have to be with fitness. This can be with entrepreneurship, creativity, whatever comes to mind. What is one gem you would like to leave the next generation?
I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, right? But I'm going to, because hindsight is 2020, and like I think everybody has moments of like, if I knew then what I knew now, and it's so hard to be able to see that in your own moment, and I think this
So,
particular time of being home and reflection, even it took my lady like a moment where she was like, the first few weeks of being home, she's like, "Yo, come on, man, you need to snap out of this shit." Like, you know what I mean? Like you have a great network, kick yourself in gear. And so I think the gym really is, um, like, put goals on a board, like make goals tangible. Because I think sometimes if you keep a goal in your head, it's not official. If that's, sounds crazy or not, but I think sometimes like writing it down, and seeing a goal every day written down, like, oh, okay, I want to achieve X, Y, Z. If it stares at you in the face, then I think it makes it more formidable and makes it more real than if it's just in your head. And so, the whole cliche of like maximize your day, we're all victim to maybe not, right? Like, I mean, there are
Easily.
definitely people in the world that we look at and it's like, okay, pick them. Doesn't matter who it is, you know, they definitely maximize their fucking day, right? But
You're like,
um,
what? We have 24
r-
hours too? What?
right, like, you're like, hold up, we got the same day and they're doing all that. But um, everyone's path is different. But I do think, making your goals, um, in stone, so to speak, and written in stone, and so you can see them every day. I think that helps. I know with me, I like pressure,
Mm.
and so I don't always function well without it. Like, sometimes I have to really kick myself into gear to get to that pressure. Um, and so when I do have pressure, I just prefer it. But we don't always have it, and I think those that like really achieve, whether we're looking at, does pick it, whether it's a superstar athlete, um, a business person, I think somehow they're able to create that pressure for themselves. So, I do think having the goal written kind of triggers that off in my head to create pressure. Um, so I would say that might be a personality type thing. Some people can function really well without that, but for me and anyone that's similar that enjoys pressure, then put that type of goal on yourself where you've written it down and say, okay, I want to achieve this by this date. Um, and I'm writing a project with a friend, and we had a call yesterday, and we gave each other a deadline for Monday to have a deliverable. And so I was like, hey, we were going to catch up Sunday. I was like, hey, okay, I got a headache, so we'll just do our call tomorrow. And she was like, well, I have X, Y, and Z, so I may not be able to jump on at this time, and maybe just do Tuesday. I was like, tomorrow's our deliverable date. Like, I'm a very literal person. You know what I mean? So I was like, and she caught that. Like, we talked about it yesterday. I was like, if you haven't noticed, like, if we say we delivering on Monday, we deliver on Monday.
Literal.
Um,
Word is
yeah,
bond.
I'm literal. There's no gray for me unless something really happened. But just to say, oh well, I have this or I have that, you're choosing to me not to deliver. And she actually over delivered yesterday, right? So
Mm.
I was like, but I'm just very. If we say we deliver on a certain day, because that's that pressure for me. I like that. Um, and so I was asking her, when do you want to try and have this project done by? And she's like, well, I think by end of August. I was like, no, end of July. I was like, end of August to me is a long fucking time. Like, I was like, even if we don't achieve the whole thing by the end of July, that pressure for me, now I'll kick into overdrive. To me, 3 months, I've been home for 3 months, right? So I don't need 3 months. Let me really put that pressure on. And like everything I'm doing right now is they're written projects, and I think just the added pressure, like I said, I know I'm coming back to that one word, but that just really works for me. Um, so yeah, my gem is, writing down a goal, put it on the wall, something so it stares at you, and the word really just winds up coming down to pressure, um, because it just helps me.
I resonate with that because I resonate with so much of what you said. When I have goals in my mind and I don't write it down, I'm missing that actual thing of me creating it by using my thought, putting it on a piece of paper on a whiteboard to then say, all right, cool. This needs to be done by so and so. Now I know what actions to take to be able to do that. On top
Yeah,
of being a son, a brother, a friend, and all that, because now you have to be efficient with your time. And with
yeah,
the pressure thing, everybody that achieves great things, there's a point where we reach for something else and higher because of maybe the endorphins, the adrenaline. But like Kevin Hart, for example, he's right now he's writing a book. That's why he's on tour. he continues to push the boundary because he wants to continue to lead by example. And what I see is that he sets these goals where he may be connecting with a bunch of different mentors to be able to get there.
Yeah.
If he were to keep his goals low, that's it. He's hit the pinnacle in his career in movies too. He needs to keep on diversifying, which he's doing a great job at. But yeah, so write a goal, put goals on the board, make goals tangible. Pressure.
Pressure. Yeah. I mean, that's really the word for me. And I think it relates to, like, we're talking about health and wellness. I think it relates to athletics for me. I know that when I achieved the most, everything was written down, logged every workout. You know what I mean? Like, you knew what your goals were, times were, your personal best, all that type of stuff. Um, and the more pressure I had, the better I did.
You knew what was on the line. You know, all those hours logged in, the
Right.
time, dedication, and you're like, I have to really push it mentally because you trained yourself in the gym to be able to be in the position when you're actually in the field to
Right.
perform. Like for
Like that thought process that you're mentioning, practice is technically supposed to be harder than the event.
has to be. It has to be.
So, like, I remember I was talking to a friend, and she played basketball in college where we went to Temple, and I had 15 workouts Monday through Saturday. And, like, we were joking, like, NCAA is 20 hours a week only. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, do you know how many hours a week I spent fucking related to sports? But, it's 20 hours. But
20 logged hours by the coaches.
right, but oh, that's an optional workout. But we know if you don't show up for the optional workout, you ain't, you know what I mean? So, but it made you better. I mean, I remember specifically with rowing, because I think sports where you train to failure are very interesting, right? Like, sports where you train to failure, it's hard. Like, I used to joke with my friends that played basketball. I was like, y'all a bunch of bitches, and they'd be like, what? I was like, you think you work out hard? I was like, but you don't know what it's like to have to, like, push through a certain type of wall. Yes, you work out hard, but, like, I remember with time trials, literally rowing where I would pass out at the last stroke and wake up with an IV in my arm.
Shit. Yeah, you took.
Like,
You're a 5-time champion for a reason.
yeah, like, I remember
Holy
with one, because I played football in the fall, and then in the wintertime, the rowing team would go to Florida for training. So I literally would go from a sport where, as you know, it's all spurt, it's all explosion,
very anaerobic.
to a sport where now I would have to do a 6,000 meter time trial and try and get, like 18 and a half minutes or whatever, right? So, like, to break that down, that's like somewhere like a 142 or 143 for 6,000 meters, right? For the split.
Shit.
And, like, I remember literally hitting the 3,000 meter mark and foam was coming out of my mouth as I'm rowing.
Dehydrated as fucking.
Finished,
I gotta
like,
keep
finished. I
going.
was like, like, I was strong, but I had no endurance, and
Mm-hmm.
just holding on. I just remember, like, when it was over, like, I was unconscious, like, literally couldn't move. They had to give me an IV, and then the coach was like, so I guess you plan on coming to Florida? I was like, I assume so, right? And he's like, yeah. And, like, people, they'd be pissed. They'd be like, yo, how is this dude doesn't row a lick all fall, and then he makes, like, I'd wind up being, like, either top 8 or top 10 on the team, but that made no sense. Like, I shouldn't have been. Um, and I do think sports like wrestling, boxing, rowing, even sometimes even track, when you train to failure, failures are a crazy thing, because it pushes your mind so much. And I think those sports, those athletes have a mental glitch that's separate from a lot of sports.
I think too, depending on all sports, depending on the individual who is thinking about greatness. If we go back to Michael Jordan and The Last Dance, the game they're playing and the goals that they have are so much different that they now need to better themselves to then allow that to trickle over to everyone around them. So
Yeah.
it's like, for you wanted to show up and you're looking for excellence. So you're willing to go to that level. You're willing to push yourself that hard to be able to say, all right, I gave it my all for my best efforts. And that everybody's like, what the hell? How does he show up and do that? Your mindset is at a different frequency in that sense. So
Yeah.
with that being said, it's like you can have a bunch of rowers who could have been practicing how you were telling the basketball guys, like, oh, you guys are like bitches, or you guys aren't practicing that hard, because they're just okay with that mediocrity, if you like to call it that. So
Yeah.
I feel like the mindset of where the person is trying to go is huge, because if the person is only seeing the the bottom of the hill, or is reaching for the hill as opposed to the mountain, they'll be cool with that. But
Yeah.
for you, it's like, I'm going to that mountain. Y'all not coming? All right, oh well. And they'll come with you if they're about it. If
Right.
not, they're gonna stop short somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it even makes me think of like when, so at some point I stopped rowing and just focused on track and field. And
Mhm.
I remember it was probably a year since I had been on a rowing machine. And there was a workout that we used to do. I want to say it was either 3 or 5 1,500-meter pieces where you had to come in under 5 minutes. So that's a 140 pace or better.
Yeah.
And the guys were getting ready. And it was the guys like that I used to be in the boat with and stuff. And I was like, they're like, oh, you want to come do a 1,500 meters? Like, man, I ain't been on the rowing machine. I was like, oh, you ain't got it no more. I was like, oh, okay. And I
Ah.
beat them. And I was like, y'all motherfuckers ain't shit. I ain't been on a rowing machine in a year. But, track, like, running is a real thing. Like, when you're sprinting and running, like, like, I became a much better runner, where now when you're doing distance and you're doing, like, 6 to 8 miles, and it's, 6 to 6.5 minute paces, when you're doing sprints in between, you're still rowing. You're just doing it with your legs,
You have the lung
Uh,
capacity, man. If you have the lung
yeah.
for it,
So,
the recovery, the aerobic capacity to do so, you're pretty much unstoppable once the muscles catch up to being able to repeat that motion, which it already was with rowing.
yeah. So, like when I'm telling you, I miss those workouts. Like, I wish we were all able to do that shit now. Like, I used to love, like, like, we go for our long runs. It was, 5 minutes at your pace, and then 1 minute sprint, 5 minute, 1 minute sprint, 5 minute, 1 minute sprint, like,
Yeah,
and it
no,
was
you
just,
missed the
I
fun.
loved them.
I rolled with the sprinters. Yeah, wild. Yeah, that's I'm good up for all that shit. That's you. I fuck with you guys, but yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna be sprinting.
Like, I miss it so much. And like, I know, like, I'm slow as shit. You might as well put like weights on my ankles at the moment. I'm so slow. Right. But I miss it. And I know, like, so much of my speed is gone because my legs are weak. I mean, I haven't squatted and lifted any weights in so long. But yeah, I miss all those workouts. I digress at the moment. We're definitely going down a whole other path, but
I know
yeah, I
it's all
miss
right,
that.
man. When we're creative artists, so it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where we go. We know it'll be good.
Yeah. I definitely miss it. I look forward to when we can all get back out there. That's for sure.
Hey, I'm gonna have to plan a long distance run. I'll let you lead it because I'm
No,
looking.
no, you gotta have to plan a run to the bathroom because that's about as far as I can run at the moment. So,
Hey, once you start doing the exercises and the workouts, for you, biggest step is just making sure the muscles get engagement and are working, because
yeah,
I don't think it doesn't seem like it'll be an issue for you once you get going. It's just more so pacing you so that you stay healthy, and
right.
you find out where the limit is for your lungs, and then you just keep pushing that up, and then from there, fucking let go of the reins and let the Mustang run.
Yeah, like once we could do that, I forget who was it. Oh, I think it was Marlon, and I don't know what we did, what kind of workout we were doing somewhere, and we did something. And he was like, "Damn, D," and I was like, "Yo," like, first off, he and I went to college together. Right?
I did
And
not
I
know
was like, yo, do you forget? Like me, like, I know you've always lifted weights, but my man, I played 3 sports in college. Like I know you're much more muscular now, you're much bigger, everything. I was like, but do you forget? Like, I have some muscle memory. Like, don't, like, he was like, yo, I see you. Like, I don't remember what we were doing, if it was whether we were on a bike or running. We were doing something. And I think he was just shocked that either I led the pack or something. And I was like, look, you forget. Don't play me, man. Don't play me. I
you.
was
Should have hit
like,
him with the Russell Crowe gladiator. You're not
yeah,
entertained.
exactly. I was like, hold up. I know you big and strong. I was like, but yo, don't play me. I was like,
Like, cut that shit right now, my guy.
right. I was like, I might be the sloppiest looking I've ever been in my life, but don't play me. I was like, my mind is still there if I decide to go. Don't play me.
Love it. I love it. But let me
Yeah.
just wrap this up. My guy,
Okay.
I appreciate you for your time. So thank you.
No,
And
no worries. I appreciate it as well. It was a good time. I appreciate it.